friends, and welcome to another episode of TOMTalks. And before we jump into this thing, I've just got to say, Southern Tomfoolery, we celebrated our first birthday last week.
We did.
So congratulations, guys.
We did it. We made it a whole year.
We're not a newborn anymore.
None of us died.
We're just a fussy toddler.
Is 1-year-old toddler? I thought 2 makes you a toddler.
Yeah, 2 toddler.
So what's 1-year-old?
Oh, no, it's just baby.
It's not a newborn.
Not newborns that
We're
first
still
year.
babies. We're
They're
still babies.
half of the
Baby,
first
still
year,
a
really.
baby. But
Baby's day out.
Yeah. So there you go. Baby's day out. That thing's more than a baby. Way smarter than a baby.
Yeah, for sure. So to all of you who have been with us since the beginning, you guys are the real MVPs, man. And to everyone who's joined us since then, thank you so much for taking the plunge with this humble podcast of Southern nerds playing games that we love. I mean, it's just awesome that we get to do this and we get to interact with you guys on Discord.
Yeah, I'll drink to that.
No,
Cheers, guys.
For sure.
Cheers. Cheers to you guys for keeping us going for a year. And I can't wait to see where we go in the following.
Yeah, for sure. Without further ado, I'm your host and resident Vesk player, Heath Parker. As always, I'm joined by Southern Tomfoolery's all-powerful game master, Adam Kelly.
What's up?
How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good.
We're also joined by my good friend and, for the rest of the month, my roommate. You may know him as the voice of Android, Xenophanes 5, founding member of, I did say Andrew, his name is not Andrew, not in this life.
Andrew the Android. That's your next character.
Yeah. But you know him as Xenophanes 5, founding member and chief financial officer of the Apollo Protection Agency, Mr. John Thomas.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Well, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, actually.
I like it when John's on Tom Talks because I feel like he has like the perfect voice for this type of show.
Yeah, he's got the NPR voice for sure.
Yeah, well, but like not like Josh's NPR voice, which is really nice and soft, but that'll put you to sleep. Like this one, I think John, you have a voice that commands attention without being abrasive, and that's my one compliment I'll give to you all year. So
It's just velvety chocolate. I get it.
So we just got done recording a really exciting, tense episode of our main show that for you guys will be in the future.
Yes, well, we will say it's episode 66.
Yeah, and it was wild. It was a really crazy episode. So I think we're all in a good headspace as far as having just done, just finished an episode that we think is really listenable and really enjoyable.
It was fun for us at the very least.
Oh,
you know,
man.
It was something like that.
It was
fun
a
for me.
session.
Fun for me, very intense and stressful for you, which to me, that's fun for all of us, right?
Yeah, on some level.
Yeah.
So, this is a really exciting Tom Talks for me in particular, but I think for all of us who love the lore and the settings of Starfinder. We're going to be talking about a new book.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
I have been waiting for this book.
Oh yeah. Yeah, me and John are both the Near Space book is like right in our wheelhouse, and we both were waiting to get this forever.
Yeah.
And we're so excited when we
Give
do.
me everything, you know.
Right.
All the lore.
So, the book is called Near Space, and in function, it's much like a previous book called The Pact Worlds. However, it differs from that book in one key detail. The Pact Worlds book examines all the planets and locations in the Pact Worlds, the system that revolves physically around the Pact World's sun, aka Mataris or the Burning Mother, but functionally in terms of lore around Absalom Station, which is the planet or the station that replaced the planet Galarian that people would know as the home of the Pathfinder game system. So Galarian sort of poofed out of existence as far as anyone knows during an event characterized by mass amnesia known as the Gap, quite literally a gap in the recorded history of the solar system. Near Space, however, serves a similar function for a different place, or places really, particularly a star system known as the Veskarium. It examines all of the planets within that system, but it also looks at a slew of other planets. Stop doing that, Adam.
Oh, sorry.
He has a black hole background, and he keeps, like, sensually rubbing the black hole. But near space, stop. You really are distracting me.
Sorry.
As I said, it also looks at a slew of other planets, not so much defined by their relation to a star or star system, but by the time it would take a traveler to reach them using a magical, faster-than-light mode of transportation called drift travel. If you're new to Starfinder, essentially there is a way to travel vast distances faster than thought possible before the gap that uses what are known as drift beacons to bounce from one sector of space to another. If you've ever played an RPG like Skyrim that has a fast travel system, it's kind of like that. You pick a drift beacon situated near a location you'd like to go, you activate your ship's drift engine, and you enter the drift, which allows you to get there in a matter of days or weeks as opposed to years or light years. The locations that are accessible in this way are said to be a part of near space, as opposed to far space. So this book looks at planets and locations that are incredibly far from the actual Pact Worlds, but that have been made much more accessible by this magical mode of travel. That's that about right?
Near space.
Near space.
No, yeah, that's what it is. You know, it's much more near in the sense of time of travel than distance of travel.
Yeah, and it's really kind of abstract, which is why, you know, I wanted to spend the time to go ahead and address it and clear it up because, you know, I mean, I would imagine there are people that listen to our show that, like, this may be the only experience they have with Starfinder. They haven't played it themselves or really delved into much of the lore. They just like to be entertained, and that's completely fine. So, for you guys, I'll go ahead and lay it out for you, okay? We're going to break this episode up into a few chunks. First, we'll talk about the Veskarium, an entire solar system conquered by the warlike reptilian race known as the Vesk. Then we'll talk about some of the other worlds considered to be in near space. And finally, we'll look over some of the new player options in the book, which is something that I think everybody can get excited about, even if you're not a big lore person, because that just means there's more stuff you can do by creating characters, you know? Which includes new options for races, backgrounds, archetypes, and some new starships, weapons, armor, items, and spells. Does that sound good?
Do they have any near space animal crackers?
I don't think so, Adam.
Just roll with it, yes.
You're really leaning into that 1-year-old aspect.
No, I quit. You told me there would be animal crackers here, and they're not, and so I don't want to do this anymore.
Okay, cool. So, for part 1, like I said, we're going to talk about the Veskarium, okay? To understand these people, the Vesk, and their solar system that they inhabit, you kind of have to understand some basic elements of their society and their philosophy. So, here we go, and again, I'll try to keep it brief. The Vesk are a race of reptilian warriors that basically resemble really buff humanoid iguanas. Their homeworld, Vesk Prime, is the nearest planet to the solar system's star, Gavanishka. The Vesk primarily worship a deity called Demoratosh, which is a god of war and conquest, and those are pretty much their defining traits. After conquering their own planet, which came to be known as Vesk Prime, they set their sights outward and over millennia conquered all 8 planets in their solar system. Once they had accomplished this, their desire for expansion and conquest led them to seek out the nearest star system, which happened to be the Pact Worlds, and they attempted to conquer it as well. In fact, it was the Vesk invasion that prompted the planets of Galarian to unite in mutual defense of their common foe, culminating in the Absalom Pact, which is the namesake of the Pact World system. So the Veskarium and the Pact Worlds maintained a sort of Cold War called the Silent War for hundreds of years, neither able to really gain any ground. It was only due to the invasion of the Swarm, who some of you may be familiar with from a certain AP.
Swarm, represent.
The Swarm are a massive intergalactic force of insectile beings that the Veskarium and Pact Worlds eventually had to agree upon a shaky alliance so they could work together and push back this foe, which they did. And ever since, the two solar systems have been reluctant allies, and travel between the two regions has become more common. However, there's still a significant amount of mistrust between them that persists to the current date in Starfinder. again, like, I think a book like this, much like the Pact Worlds, just requires a lot of setup, to really dive in further to any of these worlds that we're talking about. You kind of have to know some history.
Absolutely. There's so many pieces.
Well, it's the whole galaxy, man.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm sorry to give you guys a novella's worth of exposition, but again, so much of this book is dedicated to a better understanding of the Vesk and the kind of empire that they forged, that I think it's important to start with those basics. Anyway, that's the basics. The Vesk are lizard people warriors who conquered the entire solar system they hail from. The first major section of this book details the planets that make up that system. Now, we obviously won't have time to cover all the planets in the Veskarium, but we're each going to talk about one of them to get the fire of curiosity stoked in this Starfinder community.
Hey.
You like that?
Yeah.
I do.
Before we do that, I wanted to ask you guys a couple of questions about Near Space.
Shoot.
How did you feel about the book being so heavily focused on the Vesk and the Veskarium?
About time.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. About time. Seriously. I mean, when you're talking about the signing of the Absalom, the Pact Worlds treaty, okay, and there wasn't enough information on that. And we've got already an AP about Attack of the Swarm. So why is there more information about the Veskarium? I think it was definitely needs to be done. So
yeah, because they're kind of in the meta narrative that we have. It really was, as far as the major, like, relatively recent historical events, the Veskarium and the Pact Worlds joining together to fight off the Swarm is the most recent, like World War type event. Right?
Well, I'll say that at first I was a little put off that it was so much Vesk lore, but then, like, reading it and understanding that the Veskarium is not just the Vesk. You know what I mean? It's not, the Veskarium is a whole nother solar system. Like, it's the second solar system of the Starfinder universe. There's Pact Worlds, and it has its 8 to 9 planets, and the Veskarium has 8 planets. Like, it's a whole nother solar system. They just happen to be the people in charge. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so then it was like, it was weird. As I read it, like, I kept going through these feelings of, like, deep respect for the Vesk, and then, like, pivoting to, like, man, these motherfuckers are some fucking guys. Like, land stealing,
resource stealing motherfuckers.
Colonialism bullshit motherfuckers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Manifest destiny kind of
guys. Exactly.
I
mean, that's the dichotomy even with the Klingons in Star Trek, and that's where they borrow heavily from.
Right. Sure.
Well, you may be reading a little bit too much.
No, talking about honor and conquest.
Their whole thing.
I think that's a fair comparison. Whether it was the intent of the authors or not, there are certainly things to be compared between the way those two races operate as races.
Yeah, there are definite similarities. I hesitate to say that they borrowed heavily from specifically the Klingon, because there's been lots of empires.
I wouldn't say that they're the main source. Absolutely not.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to, I didn't have anywhere else to jam this in, but I wanted to talk about it early. How amazing is the fucking artwork in this book?
Oh my god, dude.
It is so
many
good.
Different kinds of lizards that I didn't think were actually imaginable. Fat lizards, skinny lizards, just like squat lizards, everything about them, and they did them wonderfully.
Yeah, well, and we'll get into this later, like with some of the alternate, like, Vesk racial features and stuff. There's kinds of lizards that you are Vesk that you hadn't really thought about or you didn't know about yet, because we didn't know about them as other racial options. And to Adam's point, the Veskarium is not just the Vesk, but the Vesk are the ruling power there. So anywhere you go in the system, the planet you go to might not be primarily Vesk, but they'll be there. And they will have adapted to those worlds in one way or another.
So that's where the respect comes in, is that as conquering as they are, they don't seem terribly interested in, like, stripping cultures of their identity. They do come in and lay down the law and say you are now governed by this militaristic imperialism or whatever. But, like, they also like to learn from other races.
Cultures, yeah.
And I mean, to some degree, they kind of absorb that into their own, and you could,
they do.
But you could say that that's not a negative thing because that's like co-opting, somebody else's identity and them saying, "Look at how good Vescarium art is," even though Vest didn't really do it.
They don't really do that. They very much give credit to where the art came from. Their focus is so much on military and so little on culture that they kind of have to fill in the gaps that they have culturally with other people's culture. And yes, that smacks of cultural appropriation, and I don't think that isn't a valid consideration. But I also think in a lot of ways that that's not really their intent, and they're not like a girl at Coachella wearing a feathered headdress kind of thing. Like they sincerely combine with other races. And
for sure,
cultures.
but that to use your example, that girl at Coachella isn't like intending to to be
disrespectful,
but she's still kind of being an asshole.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like. So, as I said, it was interesting. Like, that dynamic being present throughout reading this whole book really kind of flavored my approach to it in it, to me, a positive way, because it engaged me in my thought process and all like that. And then, of course, the art of, as you said, like, I don't want to gloss over that point. The art here is amazing. It is, like, so many great vistas and character art, and the starships all look awesome, like it's just really well done.
Yeah.
Well, and it's it's not just, there are a lot of depictions of Vesk that we had never been able to see before, which is awesome, but there's a lot of artwork of all the other races that are primary races in the Vescarium, as well as art of planets and geography and all that stuff. So I think, I can definitely see where you were coming from at first, thinking this was just going to be 160 pages of Vesk, 8 planets full of Vesk, like that. But that is not the case.
It's not. No, it's not.
And as far as your the kind of dichotomy that they have with combining their culture with others, I'm definitely going to dig into that a little bit as we go on. But as far as the artwork, I was impressed both with all the different depictions of Vesks, as well as the little bit of spotlight afforded to some of the other races in the book, which, being non-Pact Worlds races, don't necessarily get a lot of love in that regard, because the game started in the Pact Worlds. So there's a growth that has to happen in a game this new, relatively, that you have to familiarize yourself with one system and its varied peoples before you can move on that much to another system. And we've had the Alien Archives gradually coming out and being introduced to more races gradually, and now we're getting some more context for, like, it's not just that you can play some of these what you would think of as wilder races compared to the Pact Worlds, but now you get a grounding experience of, like, where they are.
100% agree with that. And the choices of races that they focused on to give the racial benefits and background to and options to, it's great. It's like, I'm just looking at the list now, and I know we're going to get into it later, so I won't talk about it too much, but the fact that there are options for Skittermanders, Patras, Gorons, and Demise, those 4 classes right there those 4 races are all races that I have interest in playing. Like, I want to, before this book came out, like, those are races that I was like, ooh, it'd be fun to play one of those. And now, if and when that happens, not only do I have, like, the option to do that, but I have, like, a full palette of tools to make a well-developed character. You know,
you've got some backstory fodder.
Right.
And alternate options.
Yeah, and that's a valid point, because whereas you may have been interested in those races to begin with, it's just the bare bones of, like, what is their primary stat block. And now, if and that's the good thing about Patience and Starfinder, is sometimes it sucks to have to wait a long time to be able to play in this AP you want to play in, or create this character that you want to create, but they're constantly putting out new stuff, and the longer you wait, sometimes the more options you have to define that character you've been wanting to play so badly. Okay, So
Let's
we can
dive
talk
in.
about freeform talk about this forever, and we will
We will.
make a 4-hour
Yeah.
podcast.
Right.
Okay, so on to the planets of the Veskarium, and necessarily I kind of have to start this one. Okay, if you didn't already know, the Vesk are not the most creative of people when it comes to naming planets. The Vesk homeworld and the seat of the Veskarium is a hot and dry but abundant world called Vesk Prime, which was originally just called Vesk. Like the Vesk Empire in general, talking about Vesk Prime necessarily involves a little bit of history. The Vesk originally shared Vesk Prime with 2 other major sapient species. The Skaraskans, described as jackal-faced arthropods, which, let's take a second to think about that nightmare fuel.
Let's not.
Gross.
Nah, take a second. Imagine it. Really, really imagine a giant spider with the face of a jackal.
Well, John, you have Heath to blame if one of these shows up in our game.
Fuck you.
So that was the first race that was inhabiting the planet with the Vesk on Vesk. It can be confusing. And there's also Kayagaras, a species of snake-like humanoids. So, fueled by the tenets of the Vesk deity Demoratash, the Vesk came to believe it was their destiny to conquer and rule their homeworld. This is that manifest destiny idea coming in already, very, very early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very early.
Founding tenets of Vesk.
Yes.
I mean, they literally follow a deity of conquest, you know? To this end, the Vesk warred with the Skaraskans, eventually annihilating them, believing that leaving even a single opponent alive to seek revenge could be their undoing, could threaten the survival of the entire Vesk species, which I personally think is a little bit paranoid. Having witnessed this genocide against the Skaraskans, the other major power on the planet, the Kayagaras, who were more magically gifted, retreated into massive cave systems that existed beneath their lands. They used their magic to build formidable defenses, even magically moving entire cities underground.
Holy shit.
Yeah, what a chore. This, however, only slowed the determined Vesk, and though it took centuries, the Vesk ultimately annihilated the Kayagaras as they had the Skaraskans, and the Vesk Empire came to control the entire planet. But this was not enough for the conquest-crazed Vesk, and they eventually developed...
Just a planet.
And they eventually developed space travel, built a massive warship to fuel their military called the Conqueror's Forge, which is the most metal thing I've ever heard. It's wild. And one by one captured and colonized all 8 planets in their star system. And I will now let Adam and John tell you about some of the other planets that exist under the rule of the Vesk in this star system / empire known as the Veskarium. I'm going to let John go first on this one,
right.
actually.
Okay.
Go for
Well,
it.
I did want to add a little tidbit onto that, and that was the fact that the all code for the blueprints for drift travel did not reach the Veskarium, as opposed to the Aslanti, who actually did receive it. What does that tell you about 2 warring nations? You know, not warring against each other, but yeah,
Two conquering nations.
Yeah, the conqueror. Yeah, exactly. They're both
I
expanding
wonder why the
territories.
Aslanti got it and they didn't.
Yeah.
No, I actually do wonder that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
You know?
kind of strange.
It is. But okay. Enough of that. That's just a question.
Well,
just
I mean, no, to be
about.
fair, they did eventually get drift travel.
yeah,
but
absolutely.
They just got it from Pact World's people.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I wonder why Triune didn't send the signal to the Veskarium.
Right.
They were too scared. Triune was like, these people are too badass.
No. Fuck these lizards.
But the Aslanti, they were trying to
Pure blood humans. All right. Yeah, sure.
Well, that's only further proves my point. Triune didn't actually take the Aslanti as seriously as they did the Vesk.
Triune doesn't make mistakes. What are you talking about? Anyway.
Yeah, it makes them a triplicate.
Drift travel literally tears parts of the universe apart. You know, so I think Triune does make mistakes.
Triune will care.
No. But, okay, we're not here to talk about Triune. Let's move this back over to Veskarium. Okay. So, all right. So, after reviewing the Near Space book, the one that I found most suitable for this Tom Talks, none other than the homeworld for the Starfinders mascots, the the Skittermander. All right. Nice. Now, there's a lot of information regarding Vest 3. That's which one it is. Surprise. Now, ranging from its geography, its resonance, its society, and posing conflicts and threats locally on the planet. Now, starting from the outward going in, Vest 3, or what the Skittermander continued to this day called Eddert Chunk, and I'm not sure if I've got that.
Eddert Chunk?
Eddert Chunk.
Eddert Chunk.
Yeah, Eddert Chunk.
Can you say that in Sweet Heat's voice for me?
Eddert Chunk.
See, but I still don't think that's right. You still have a tendency to say chunk, and it is chonk.
It is chonk. Yeah.
Chonk?
Yeah. It's okay. It's spelled OEDDERTCHONK.
What?
Yeah. I think it's pronounced Eddert Chonk. So,
Eddert Chonk.
Yeah. So it's the third planet from Gaviniska.
Paizo, call us. Let us know.
Yeah, exactly. Please do. And we would be jazzed. It's the third planet from Gaviniska. Hosts 2 moons. Surprisingly called Vest 3.1 and 3.2. Bet you didn't see that coming. The Skittermander actually call it Big Mother and Firstborn, respectively. Vest Gunners call it Big Mama. I like that. So,
I like that.
As we enter the atmosphere, and you would see the familiar blue skies, blue waters that you'd find on Galarian. Okay, now Vest 3 is what you'd call a garden world. Okay, it's trapped in a perpetual spring with lush flora.
Trapped?
Sounds and I'll explain why. Okay. Now, to the untrained eye and fresh Vest Gunners, this jewel of the Veskarium may seem like a paradise planet, but it has seen its share of volatility, cataclysms, and all other hosts of problems, okay? And I'll get to that as to why, but with expansive forests and shallow oceans, Vest 3 is a dense terrestrial world with constant volcanic activity expressed as oceanic vents, gas seeps, hot springs, and minor tremors, okay? Now, millions of years ago, a massive asteroid that escaped the gravitational pull of nearby Vest 4 collided with Vest 3 and realigned the planet's axis to its current position. All right, and what that allowed it to do was be trapped in a perpetual spring. Okay, so it doesn't have any winters or anything. So what followed was only recorded in old Skittermander myths and legends of an ancient civilization predating the Skittermanders, whom they would call the Forerunners, and their extinction in a reign of fire and a centuries-long winter. As with every ecosystem-altering event, niches are created and filled. Prey and predator adapt, and Vest 3 is no different. All right? So, on the surface of Skittermander's homeworld, there's 2 primary continents define most of its landmass. To the west, we got the continent of Aberandaran, which is predominantly where Skittermanders rule autonomously. In the north are fertile lands that are considered the breadbasket for both the Skittermanders as well as the Vesk. Central Aberandaran is actually hard to miss even from orbit, with its distinctive pink inland sea called the Vermilion Sea. Formed from mineral deposits and the algae that feed upon it, this warm and shallow body of water is revered as a cradle of civilization. Now, Skittermanders themselves regard this body of water as sacred, and those who would travel off-world often bring a vial of iconic waters with them as a good luck charm. Now, probably to answer your question, I think Sweet Heat does have a bottle. I think he has a little vial of that.
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah. So, but in this little sea is a little tiny-ass island called the Womb of Creation. It's a holy island for Skittermander, okay? Occupies the sea and honoring the dead who have perished in great service to all. And to the east is the continent of Kavarit, okay? This continent is mainly defined by the Vesk named Basin Sea, all right? Now, whereas most of the oceans are only like several hundred meters deep, this sea is 12 miles deep. And that is because of the great impact, the asteroid that hit it, that Vesk 4 didn't, block. So,
Sounds like it blocked it completely.
No, Vest 3 blocked it completely.
Vest 3 blocked it.
Vest 4 didn't block it.
Yeah, Vest 4 didn't block
that's
it.
That's my planet. No, we said, no, fuck that. Go to John's planet.
Piece of shit. Thank you.
Yeah, that's GM Fiat, dude. Sorry.
See, and the only reason that the Vesk are here is because of that fucking basin, okay? So, in that basin it's just littered with all kinds of materials and resources that are just like, just enormous mineral wealth. But it also has more active volcanoes, it's got deep canyons, but these rich resources that were found there bring the might of Vesk industry, okay? So they established this as their seat of operations, and they established Command 3 as their planetary capital.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got to make literally billions of Dashkos.
Yeah, of course. Billions of them. So, well, yeah, because you always have clutches of 3 or 4, you know? So, there's
so much information in this book, y'all. There's so much information.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I won't lie, I felt bad for, to some degree, subjecting John to this because John can't turn his brain off, and I knew he was going to write me a fucking novel. But it's all very fascinating, and like we're here with you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Just bear with me. It's only just a little bit longer. Okay. So
could have done this in an intro, John.
No, I could have.
Not about these APs,
but not about.
It's not relevant.
Yep. So, despite being a verdant Shangri-La, it's a planet that's also occupied by the pragmatic and militaristic Vesk. Surprise. Where there may be beautiful natural landscapes, there's also angular and unnatural infrastructure to fit the needs of the hungry Vesk profiteers. Now, with this comes deplorable conditions of which the Skittermanders are painfully aware. They're no strangers to it, and they've managed to abuse the Skittermanders' own cooperative instincts. So, they tell the Skittermanders to do their part for the Empire. And by doing that, they're able to suppress their native language, okay, impose strict work quotas with long, grueling labor that's often unpaid, and even so, for a Skittermander to go against its instinct would be traumatic, all right? Veskarium colonialism, yeah, fucking colonists, introduced so much new technology and opened so much of their homeworld to that the Skittermanders can't imagine what the culture would be like without Vesk oversight. All right. Now, the thing about Skittermanders, though, is that how incredibly helpful there's a joke amongst the Vesk, okay? They say that it's been said that helpful Skittermanders will eagerly tear down your engine unless you eat them. And even then, they'll stick around and help you chew your food.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to that point, whenever I found out, and it's been a while now, that Skittermanders were going to be a playable race, I thought it was really odd because, like, to be a Skittermander, like, fighter or warrior, you have to be such an oddball in that society and have overcome that programming of niceness no matter what.
Yes.
You know, like and because Skittermanders are so cute, so many people are playing Skittermanders, and I just don't find it realistic that there's that many Skittermander who are, you know, barbarians and warriors and all this.
Well, you know, there's actually not an AP, but a little one-shot that Paizo has created. And it is
Skittershot.
Yeah, we know about Skittershot.
Yeah, exactly. And you can play one of 4 Skittermanders, and you have a Vesk, I guess, boss. You know.
That makes sense. Like that's definitely where they would learn it. Maybe even if they were just trying to be nice. Like some Vesk was like, "You there? You should be soldiers." Okay, you know, and then they do it just out of like obligation.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'd love to do that.
Yeah. No, like we don't want to let you down, sir.
Yeah,
become really good soldiers.
I would love to help you insofar as cleaving off this man's skull. As long as it's helpful to you.
Yeah.
2 more things. Just 2 more things. Promise you. Okay. So, what I found interesting was the fact that Skittermanders do not raise their young. Okay? So there are no schools, no daycares, no child rearing. It's completely gone. It's absent, okay? This is because Skittermander spend their childhood years as non-sapient whelps, left to hunt fend for themselves in the forest. They are fucking feral, okay?
Dude.
Yeah, it's weird because when I heard about that, it's like the Skittermanders, the epitome of niceness and friendliness, basically they treat their kids like Spartans, like with the Agoge.
Yes!
You know, like they send their kids out into the wild to go and fend for themselves, and if they die, they die. But if they come back, if they come back, they'll strengthen the society. But like that,
and they're cool with that.
Oh, no, man. Like the social implications of the relationship between the Vescarium and the Skittermanders it's not a good look.
It's not
Yeah, I know. They're only brought into community whenever they foster the desire to collaborate.
And I'm sure the Vescarium is like, yeah, this is when the cultures will totally not change. You guys continue to stay uneducated and subservient to us. Everything's working out just swimmingly.
Oh, man. Okay, so one more thing. Okay, so that is many in the Vescarium's higher ranked view command over Vest 3 as punishment. All right? So despite the world's rich resources, it's actually common wisdom that Skittermanders are ungovernable troublemakers, okay? So they'll cause no end of embarrassment, and right now the current ruler of Vestry is High Despot Taret Kahan, and he is the only ruler of a planet that is not a Vesk, okay?
He's not Vesk?
No. He's a lawful neutral male Patra soldier.
What?
He's a Patra. Yeah. So get this, okay? So, Taret earned his position through masterful political maneuvering, leaving his superiors no choice but to either promote him or lose face. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so he had planned to win command of his own homeworld, which would be, hey, fantastic, but, Vesk definitely saw through that, and they were like, no, let's make a joke out of this, So they, just because it amused them, they decided to take this really stern and just like militaristic Patra and decide to have him govern Skittermanders.
Oh my gosh.
It's like Kindergarten Cop.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. That's a great. Yeah. But
it's like a lot of things, and Vest 3 is kind of a fucked up stain on the Vescarium for sure. But like it's so enriching. It's so like enriching to the whole lore of it, because like of course there's a Vest 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course that there's that, and it. I don't know. That's fascinating. That is absolutely fascinating.
Well, and it's also the only planet in the entirety of the Vescarium that was taken control of without any loss of life.
Yes, that's right.
The Vest just showed up and were like, we're running your planet now. And the Skittermander leadership or whatever was like, yeah, cool, let's help you.
We're not leading it.
Yeah,
we're not. Well, but the Vesk's MO isn't making you leave.
I said we're not leading it.
We're not leading it, Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's a very interesting planet.
It's chaos all the way down.
I wonder what that means for Sweet Heat and Fritz. You know what I mean?
Well, there is, and this is in this book, and it's been mentioned in other snippets in other books, that the Vesk are so not used to how things went down with their conquering of Vesk 3 and the Skittermander race, that there is pretty widespread conspiracy that all of this is a ruse, and that the Skittermanders are secretly like underground the number one fomenter of rebellion and like, trying to overthrow the Vesk.
Yep.
Them and the Patra.
I'll just put it this way: it's a good thing that there is no Vesk in our Hacky Sack Heroes game. Because I would definitely incorporate that.
Yeah. Okay, so Adam, what planet did you? I think you said Vesk 4 already.
Yeah.
I will say, to be fair to you guys, as much as I wanted to nerd out on this book and read everything, A, we had limited time, and B, I intentionally just read up on Vesk Prime and I didn't know what planets you guys were doing at first, so I didn't read about your planets. I just already knew a lot about the Skittermanders. So I don't even know what Vesk 4 is.
Well, let me tell you about it, Heath.
I don't either.
So Vesk 4 is the third world to surrender to the Veskarium. It was originally named Talfirax, Talfiriax. That's it, Talfiriax.
Talfiriax, yeah.
Sure. The ecology of it is that it's like a swampland, lush jungles, volcanic mountains, like very active ecology and kind of weather systems going on there. What's most interesting about Vesk 4, and kind of to tie back to what John was saying, and so I'm kind of surprised that Vesk 4 did not get hit by the comet that Vesk 3 did, is that it has a significant gravitational center. It pulls things in its orbit to its surface all the time. Like
you fucked up once.
Well, I mean, like, it's so much so that this planet is nicknamed the Glutton because it just draws so many orbital bodies to its surface, including its own moons.
I like
this.
That.
Has resulted in many craters that have wide-ranging geological makeup. Now, here's why I chose Vesk 4. One of these craters houses some crystals that would then become the resource for Solarian weapon crystals.
No way.
Oh, it's kind of like the planet in the Star Wars universe that has so many of the Kyber crystals that...
No way.
The Jedi
cool.
and
Yes.
Sith mine, yeah.
100% is that. So before the Vesk got there, there were two species that... I mean, there was more, but there were two main species that had, like, societies and stuff. There were the mole-like Talfi and the insectile Shazirians. Okay? The Talfi are extremely steeped in Solarian tradition. They're like amongst some of the first Solarians of existence. However, the sad thing is that most of the Talfi Solarians, like the elders of the old way, were lost in the very short war against the Veskarium. Like, all their fighters went and fought a battle, and they all died, and the Talfi were like, okay, well,
God,
guess you run this planet now.
To some degree, as is tradition, you know?
Yeah, I mean, so, like, it's sad because there was a lot of knowledge about being a Solarian and about the connection of humanoids and life to the stars and all that. The other race was the Shazirians, and they're this insect-type species that eats the ore of the planet. Like, they eat the rocks and everything.
Okay.
And but they have very predictable migration routes along the planet. So that both the Talfi and the Vesk have had very little problem with them because they could avoid them pretty simply. And all they were doing was just kind of making this rotation around the planet, eating rocks. You know? So wasn't a lot of interaction there. So when the Vesk came, you know, and so all of the Veskarium planets have a high despot, right? That's like a title that the Veskarium has for each planet. The Vesk in charge, or I guess in the case of Vesk 3, the Patra in charge is called the High Despot.
Yeah.
So he's a Patra as well?
No, he's not. No, he's not. She's not.
Oh, you were referencing his planet.
Right.
Okay.
So the High Despot of Vesk 4 is a woman, female Vesk named Camille Zanva. Before she became the High Despot, she was in the Veskarian military, and she was there kind of as part of the conquest. And she discovered this crater. And her proximity to these Solarian crystals awakened in her own Solarianism, you know? And She then became very powerful member of the military and rose very quickly as being one of the first Solarians in the Veskarium. And then, because of what she discovered, became the High Despot of Vesk 4. She has since been there for the last 20 years. So she has ruled there for a very, very long time. In that time of her rule, she has led the process and execution of founding the Corona Academy.
Fucking bad timing.
I know.
Dude.
I know. It's a training facility for Solarians from all reaches of the Veskarium Empire. So this is where the Veskarium Empire goes to train as a Solarian. Whether you're Vesk or any of the other races that are
if
part
you're
of the Empire.
in the Veskarium military and want to be a Solarian, that's where you go.
If you just want to go and become a Solarian, the Corona Academy. So Camille Zanva, part of this kind of tapping into realizing that she has a connection to the stars and that she is a Solarian and all that, opened her mind to the Talfi. And she actually partnered with a Talfi historian named Ayar to study and renew the ancient Talfi Solarian way, which is now part of the basic curriculum of the Corona Academy. Okay, so this High Despot later in her life realized what was lost.
Yeah.
And is partnered with the Talfi, again, these mole people, to find and translate all this ancient Talfi text that they did excavations of to find and incorporate it into the curriculum of the Corona Academy. So she has a really, really strong partnership with the indigenous species there. And another interesting thing about Camille Zanva is that she actually has she has a council that advises her that's chosen by the people of Vesk 4, which is not typical of High Despots. No,
not at all.
She still has ultimate power. She has put a cabinet around her that is democratically elected by the people of the planet to advise her on the decisions for the planet. So this, in combination with her love for the Talfi, she is actually sneered at often by her peers, by her High Despot peers in the Veskarium, and they call her the diplomat.
Yeah.
But that's with sarcastic undertones. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not meant to be nice.
It's insincere. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because being a diplomat for the Veskarium is an insult. It's like being an accountant.
But she's led a very peaceful and successful reign on Vesk 4.
Well, I'm sure the planet loves her.
Well, and she's also, because of the Corona Academy and because of the harvesting of the Solarian crystals, is kind of an economic powerhouse for the Veskarium.
Okay.
And so nobody really has any problems with her. They just kind of make fun of her because she's soft, because she loves these little mole people and their in their kind of antiquated ways. But she's very successful and loved by the people of the planet, and her job isn't really in jeopardy either because she's putting up good numbers.
Yeah, she's doing a good job.
Yeah.
Despite, and that's the thing is the Vesk macho kind of mentality is the only reason that she's kind of looked down upon, I would imagine, because that's just the nature of existing as a high-ranking member of a military autocracy.
I just think it's really cool. Of course, my love for Solarian, so I gobbled all that up. But just this was one of those moments where I had respect for the Vesk. Particularly, I have a lot of respect for Camille, in her rule and the way that she's handling her position, and I don't know, it was a very rich planet with two, the dichotomy of the two life forms that were there before the Vesk got there, this really kind of insect-like advanced society, and then the more mammalian with the mole-like people. It was just It's interesting that they were both able to become dominant species with such different, biological needs. Well, yeah. Just they operated biologically so differently on the planet.
Right.
Yeah. So, I do think one thing, because this book has so much information in it, I think all of us, it's not so much a scrambling to gather up all our information, it's a being overwhelmed with having too much information and what we can fit in. And because of that, I think we did gloss over, and that's mainly my fault because I talked about Vesk Prime, but I was trying to be quick. We didn't really talk about how their leadership structure works, and the Vesk are a militaristic autocracy. Okay, so every planet, like you said, has what's the title they use?
High despot.
A high despot. Okay, and it's funny because in our world and existence, despot is like a really negative term.
Yeah.
But for them, it's a source of pride and power.
It's a title of honor. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But the way that it functions, is that they have each planet in the Veskarium has a high despot that. All those high despots form a council, right? And that's how they get all of their decision-making done, is they take a vote among the despots. Except during times of active war. Now, you could always assume the Vesk are always doing warlike stuff, but during times of actively declared war, they generally have an emperor. So
no shit.
Yeah, but it's like the Romans, it is expected of the Vesk that as soon as the war ends, the emperor steps down and lets the high despots
abdicates the throne, huh?
Yes.
So who is ready for that Veskarium AP?
Oh man, I mean,
we're gonna have it's gonna have a Vesk emperor.
You're spoiling my later on questions. like that's definitely something I'm building up to. Is like, do we think that I think. I mean, the cat's out of the bag now, but I definitely think having a book like Near Space be, 1/3 focused on the Veskarium in particular, it implies to me that maybe Paizo has something up their sleeve that they're going to do a Veskarium or Vesk focused AP at some point. They've got to be. Yeah. They've got to be working on it.
I mean, if you're going to drop all the lore and everything for it, yeah.
I kind of felt bad because you guys mentioned the high despots of your respective Vesk-controlled planets. I forgot to mention mine. The high despot of Vesk Prime is Vindiskayo Swarm Ripper.
That's such a name.
Yeah, who, it tells me, is a lawful evil female Vesk soldier. And as we were talking about the way that their governmental body works, is that, yes, technically, because they're not in a declared wartime, all the despots are, in theory, equal, but the high despot of Vesk Prime necessarily holds a little more power than the rest of them.
He gets the extra vote. Yeah, she gets the deciding vote. Yeah.
She's got the 1.5 vote.
Yeah.
Right.
We've already drained through a chunk of time, but that's just the nature of it, and I really wanted to be able to spend as much time as we could on some of these actual Veskarium planets. Now, before we move on to the next section, I did want to address some things, and we've already gotten into it a little bit, about the Vesk and the Veskarium. I think we can all agree, based on what we've learned, the Vesk and their militaristic autocracy presents some pretty problematic elements. I mean, in the early days of their history, they literally committed not one, but 2 actual genocides.
Sure did.
So that kind of goes back to some of Adam's points about the dichotomy between, they, in many ways, can be surprisingly accepting of the people that they conquer, but they also have a very bloody and very problematic past. In fact, it would be kind of easy to think of the Vesk much in the same way that we at STF think of the Aslanti. And I don't think I'm being unfair by saying that. I mean, they've literally conquered 8 planets and committed 2 genocides at least.
They're definitely expansive, and their prime motivation is conquest.
But the simple fact is many of the Vesk consider themselves a superior race. And That belief helped fuel their conquest of not only a planet, but an entire star system, okay? They've historically been a brutal and relentless empire bent on subjugation of other worlds to their control of and system of government. This is a big part of why, personally, when building Titanium Mike, I chose for him to be a Vesk outsider born to Vesk outsiders. I didn't want him to have grown up in the Veskarium or believing that the things that Vesk generally believe. Now, this is not to say that all Vesk think or act the same. On the contrary, there are plenty of Vesk, even in the lore of this book, who have rebelled or chosen exile over being a part of this system. That said, a potentially unexpected aspect of Vesk society, as we've talked about, is that once in control, they're very oddly protective over who they rule. They don't really care, or they don't really care what their citizens believe or how they conduct themselves, as long as they operate within the laws that the Veskarium has established and submit to their rules. And they have a long-standing tradition of assimilating ruled people to their empires and taking up some of their traditions and celebrating their art. This fluidity does a lot to prevent dissent and rebellion, aside from just filling in gaps in their culture. They practice, and this is how I had to sum it up, they practice a strange sort of, as long as you submit to our rule, we're all in this together philosophy.
Like Mongols.
Yeah, a little bit like Mongols, yes. Okay, so we've covered the worlds that we had time to cover in the Veskarium, and those are fascinating, but there's a whole lot of other ones, so get out there, do your research, find what planet is your favorite. But these 8 Veskarium planets by no means represent all the worlds in Near Space. In fact, it's only a fraction of the planets in this 160-page book, not even a third of them. The second part of Near Space is about some extra worlds, not associated with either the Pact Worlds or the Veskarium, but still inhabiting Near Space. And I personally thought these worlds were really interesting, like individually. The folks at Paizo really got to flex some creative muscles. But equally interesting was the purpose that they serve. Me and John were talking a few days ago about this, and I couldn't help but call these hook worlds. Aside from their descriptions, each one seemed to have a mystery or a conflict that could be a perfect adventure hook for a savvy GM. So Starfinder GMs can find lots of uses for these locations, whether building APs, one-shots, or just spicing up the adventures they're already running. Here on TOMTalks, they provided a reason for us to just nerd out about some really cool new sci-fi locations that set our brains on fire. So why don't you guys tell me about some of the near space worlds that got you fired up?
After you, Adam.
All right. Well, there were quite a few worlds to choose from, but as I mentioned earlier, the Demai was always a race that I was interested in. And so I looked into their homeworld called Demelco. And this planet used to be like a really beautiful, lush green world. It was home to 2 advanced civilizations, but is now a dry and arid, ruined planet inhabited by raging colossi and the survivors that hide from them underground. 200 years ago, the oceans themselves dried up and all of the plant life died. Colossi, almost these, Lovecraftian earth elemental type monstrosities.
Yeah.
I mean, they are colossus creatures.
Yeah.
Right. They rose from this ruined earth and nearly wiped out the entire living population on the surface of that planet. I mean, when I say the entire, like, down from millions to a couple thousand.
Jesus.
Those survivors, the Dimalkians call this event the Awakening. The survivors, the couple thousand that did survive that, ran to the relative safety of the underground and forged a collective of enclaves called the Refuge. So they all live underground, hiding from these giant monstrosities that walked their once beautiful planet's surface. 100 years later, there was a mission that was carried out, and some people went to the surface. And when they were on the surface of the planet, they made a very important discovery. They found some orbs that were scribed in runes that gave them an empathetic connection to the Colossi, allowing them to have the sense of where they were and even manipulate the directions that they move.
Oh shit!
This discovery led to the foundation of an organization called the Guardians, and that still exists today. And so it's these Demi who have this like empathic connection to the world and the colossi that walk it, that still protect the rest of their tribe, enough so that they've actually started to be able to come back to the surface and start building small new settlements on the surface with hope to bring life back to this planet. Fucking
Yeah,
that's
epic, dope.
Dude?
That's fucking dope. Seriously.
Well, and to me, I think that's just hearing it now, because I knew a little bit about the Demi and their home planet, but it ties into a little bit of the nature of the Vesk and Veskarium, in that it has this very serious theme of their planet was in many ways conquered by these colossi, right? Mm-hmm. So it has this interesting relationship between the conquered and the conquerors, and they build this magical, like, empathy-based relationship with them to some degree.
They were conquered, but it's almost as if their world turned on them. You know, like the world, like this thing just happened. No outside source came to the world. The world just died and then rebirthed these horrible creatures. But now there's this like symbiotic relationship between those creatures and the people that live there. It's like the Earth decided to reset how life worked and did a new experiment. Like, I wonder I want to know what caused that awakening.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, and I want to know, where did these fucking orbs come from?
Yeah, like somebody is doing an experiment on that planet, dude. Like somebody is like testing mindsets of people or of civilizations.
Now you have a bunch of Colossus riders, not actually riding the fucking Colossus, but still, dude, you know, actually
herders.
Well, like
herders, you know,
shepherds.
That's so crazy to me. And like, I guess my darkest kind of brain path that comes from that is like, if the Earth was magical, I feel like it's possible that maybe the Earth would turn on us. How bad we fucked it up, you know? Like,
It's a very interesting history, and as you said, it's another planet that is just ripe for homebrewed adventures.
Yes.
Yeah, and all of these worlds, that's one thing, like, I don't want to boil them down to that's their only purpose, because there's so much you can do with them, but it does seem like there was a real emphasis on making these non-Veskarium near space worlds accessible to mysteries and adventures, and just to intentionally get your gears turning about, like, because I read these books and I'm not even an experienced GM, and I'm like, all right, I want to build an AP that goes, you know, it's a plucky band of people going and investigating mysteries on all these other near space worlds, doing planet hopping stuff, you know?
Right.
And quickly, in terms of an AP, like quickly figuring out what that mystery is, because every one of them seems to have a mystery. Every single one of them.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a fascinating planet, and the Demi are a really cool race, and got some good special treatment in this one.
They did.
So John, what was your world?
All right, so I went with the Helfenthel system. All right, I couldn't just do a hook
this
planet.
Is so cool.
I had to do a Helfenthel system. All right, so the Helfenthel system, okay, it consists of 9 worlds, okay, with the predominant race of Magedlian people. All right, it's a civilization of stony-skinned, 3-foot humanoids from the planet Helfen, who rely much more on magic than technology. You can almost think like stone dwarves-ish, you know, but they're humanoids, they're 3 foot, they're stony-skinned. But anyway, they never invented any technology that would permit interplanetary space travel, let alone intergalactic. However, they have managed to link all 9 worlds of their system by means of magical gates called Farstep Arches. Okay, and that's really freaking cool to me, that instead of like actually going the technological route, they went magic with it. So now thousands of these far step arches exist across the system, and travel between them takes only a single step. Now, how it all started was they actually developed one, then it was a one-way trip. They would send them off over to one of the planets, okay? And then over generations, they would have enough time, after enough time passed, they built one back. So then after thousands of years, all these far step arches actually now to where it's just like, it's even said in the book that a McGedley courier might visit 6 worlds in a single day, thinking no more of a trip than a crosstown courier would in other worlds. Okay? So, I mean, think of that. That's like Super Mario 64, like jumping into pictures and whatnot, just going to different worlds. You know, I thought that was really cool. But of the 9 worlds, McGedley only encountered one other intelligent race. While expanding and exploring their system, there was one that's called the Haleth, okay, and it's on the frigid planet of Thel, and this is a race of friendly furred quadrupeds. All right, and Haleth, with the power of ice shaping, managed to terraform their warming planet to maintain the sub-zero temperatures they preferred. In fact, Haleth, which are actually skilled astronomers, already knew of the existence of McGedley from intercepted radio transmissions and celestial observations. So, soon after they established this alliance, they discovered that the Haleth's ice-shaping magic would melt if it were to ever leave Thel. Okay? So, even worse, Haleths were immune to the magic of the far step arches and couldn't leave their world through this means.
Ah, that sucks.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Like you've got like this one race that figured out a magical way to hop to all the planets in their system, no problem, easy breezy, and they finally find another race that is sentient and intelligent and they can communicate with, and they're trapped on their own planet.
Yeah.
Because due to that reliance on magic, they don't actually have regular space travel.
Yeah. But this alliance, I mean, just strengthened their resolve. And so they actually became influential members of the ninefold council that governs the system and deliver their votes via McGedley pages. You know? But although trips through far step arches, and this is where I was really interested. They already had my attention, but now I'm really interested. So, although trips through far step arches are routine and in fact vital to McGedley society, a few travelers had reported malfunctions with the magical gates in the past few months. Reports of travelers emerging aged several weeks or months, or wandering an unfamiliar world between gates. Some emerging with blood loss, falling dead immediately on the other end. Some never even emerged at all. Yeah. So I thought that was just really super cool.
Do you think threefold conspiracy has anything to do with this? It's called the ninefold council?
Yeah. Well, that's just 3 times, man. You know?
Yeah. It's like a third of the council has a conspiracy going on against the rest of the council.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
There's something shifty going on with that shit, man.
Man, conjecture is so fun.
Right. 100% that.
Well, dude, these worlds are so cool. So I found a world, and now in retrospect, I feel like my world isn't nearly as epic and crazy as you guys' world is. But I still thought it was neat. A planet I found really fascinating. It goes by the name of Gaskar 3. And it's for the most part like a water world. Its only major land masses are a crescent-shaped continent called Lavnovia and the surrounding islands, as well as an island like subcontinent called Prospera. Now, these are surrounded by the enormous and constantly storm-racked Yulalov Ocean. Gaskar 3, in this sense, reminded me, Adam, you'll like this, a little bit of the world of Roshar from the Stormlight Archives. Nice. Because it's said that the plants and creatures native to Gaskar 3 have evolved to be sturdy to weather these massive storms that are constant on the planet.
Yeah.
But those are the only similarities, really. But the first people to settle Gascar 3 were actually self-imposed exiles from the Vescarium, who called themselves renunciants. See, they were all followers of a prophet named Gascar Yulalov. This guy was a devout follower of Wadon, the god of equality, exploration, and freedom. Understandably, he didn't really vibe with the way the Vesk government ran things. What with the rampant racial superiority complex and draconic laws and punishments. So he preached against the Vescarium's violence and their tyranny. So, as you would expect, he was arrested and he was executed. His followers, though, now had a martyr and fled to the edges of the Vescarium so they could continue to practice this religion. Once they found out about drift travel, these disciples built a huge colony starship and took off into space looking for a new world to settle where they wouldn't be bothered by the Vescarium's oppression. Now, a thing to consider is that these are primarily Vesk that left the Vescarium, said, fuck this, I don't like the way you do business. We're followers of Wadon more than we are Vesk, right? Or more than we are followers of the Vesk code. Within months of fleeing in their colony ship, they came upon the Gascar system, which had such a conveniently located drift beacon that they decided this must be a miracle granted them by their god Wadon. So they had found their new home. They set their colony ship down on Gascar 3 and literally built their capital and major metropolitan city around the colony ship. Like, they just dropped it down and built a city around it.
Sounds like civilization, like Beyond Earth or something like that.
It does. It does. And in this city and this new planet, they were free to practice all their groovy Wadon ceremonies and meditations, and they still do to this day. However, they weren't the only people to ever find the place, and now it's also home to a lot of pirates and outlaws seeking to lay low and what have you. So there's a really interesting, and we keep using this word dichotomy, but that's what happens when you talk about entire planets. But there's a really interesting dichotomy between the people who live there. Basically, a bunch of priests and a bunch of pirates. And those two social groups kind of scuffle. You know?
Yeah, their worlds will never overlap except through through conflict.
Also, there are a ton of really scary water monsters and stuff all around the continents and islands of Gascar 3, so that's another fun added-in wrinkle to this weird little water world. And as I said, not as epic and crazy as you guys' world, but I really thought it was neat to have this, religious settlement of Vesk that broke away from the Vescarium. Said, fuck that.
It's certainly
we're gonna go
to hear that there is like a splintering.
Yeah. Well, and then for them to get there and find their paradise and then have to deal with it starting to be overrun by pirates and criminals.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Vesk
got a Vesk at some point.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and that sets up, I would love to play in a shorter adventure that was you pick either the pirates or the priests and you wage war against the other ones or cool. Find a way to infiltrate. Okay, so look, guys, I know we've been talking forever, but I just gotta say, I don't know about you guys, but this book, like the Pact Worlds that came before it, is, to be frank, this is my shit. I love how inspired I get about Starfinder when I get to read about all these new expansive options for the lore and the settings of the game system, but those aren't the only new options, these planets that we've discussed. For this next section, let's try and quickly cover some of the new player and party options that help further flesh out not only the world, but now we get to talk about the mechanics of Starfinder. So first, let's talk about some of the new race options. There were a few races that got special treatment, like we've talked about, and it's obvious I'm going to talk about the Vesk, so why don't you guys go first?
All right. So I went with Skittermander, just because I happen to be on a theme. And so the race option that I chose was Guardian. Okay. Now, most Skittermanders they're considered self-sacrificing, and some put themselves directly in harm's way just to protect others. So what they do is that they take These Scattermatters, they can enter or occupy the space of a single, small, medium, or large creature without imposing the normal penalties on either themselves or the creature sharing their space. And they take a -2 penalty to AC while sharing their space, but provide the creature whose space they share with a +1 shield bonus to AC against ranged attacks.
It's like a weird variation of the bodyguard feat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like they just get in their business and fuck them up, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, and for the alternate racial ability for a Skittermander to choose Guardian, what it does is that it replaces Grappler.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That's a good swap. It's a different kind of way to do the same thing to some degree, you know?
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Adam?
Well, I of course went with the Demai, you know, also staying in theme.
I appreciate that, guys.
There's a few options there. They can be more intelligence based at the cost of Constitution if you want. They have two different things that you could replace Survivor with. Brazen Bravado kind of plays into the Demai's force of personality. Like, you know, it's kind of a racial identity that they have, is that they're all very kind of confident and outgoing, you know? So what that does would give you a bonus to bluff and sense motive checks. What I like about it, and I think Heath you'll like about that, is that also when you aid another, you provide a +3 bonus instead of a +2. I know Emily would like that.
That's great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then the other one, kind of like, if you wanted to be a Demai Guardian, like one of these people that controlled the Colossi,
right?
You can take.
Which who wouldn't want to be?
Well,
that,
I mean, you get kind of like stuck into doing that one job, you know, because it's called an empathic imprint, and it also replaces Survivor, giving you the ability to cast Mind Link once per day, and that's the only bonus, but it's like associated with being a Guardian. You know, and then because of the world they live in, and this is really cool, Demai Witch Warpers get some exposure to some different paradigm shifts. Now, anybody can take this. I mean, you know, I guess GM's discretion, but these paradigm shifts originated
with the Demai.
Yeah. And so there's Enshrouding Gloom that basically puts a blanket of darkness over a square, and then there's Phantom Colossus where they like bring in a scene of the Colossus from their planet and show it to somebody, and that's enough. That's enough for them to like. They lose their entire turn.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's so Witch Warper.
A failed will save. They lose their turn.
That's amazing. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
So it's cool. As I said, the Demai got all their planet history plus some extra racial options and things to play with, and also expanded Witch Warper from the character operations manual, which I loved. So just really great player options available there.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I've been really excited about, is because Witch Warper is so new, we're already getting new Witch Warper stuff, you know, and like that very early on getting to expand that very unique class that I love.
Yeah,
I'm all about
Witch Warper hit the ground running, definitely.
All right, so obviously, and I'm also sticking with a theme, which good job, guys.
Yep.
Themes are awesome and make
variants on a theme here.
Less willy-nilly. So I'm obviously going to talk about the Vesk, and I'm going to give you a good chunk of stuff, okay? So and I wanted to give you this quote out of the book because it ties into what we've already been talking about so much in this book, or on this episode. A quote from the book said, "While some of those who have fought the Vesk see them as a monolithic, warlike race, Vesk, in truth, are just as varied and nuanced as any other interplanetary race." Nice. And that at least is true, even if they have a very bloody history. So Vesk normally start with +2 strength, +2 con, -2 intelligence. They're not looked at as a very smart people. However, you could be a If you grew up maybe like on the Demai planet of Demalco, who live in caves and stuff like that, you could be a cave-dwelling Vesk who grew up in cave systems and adapted to them, and you'd get +2 Dex, +2 Wisdom, -2 Charisma. So a lot. One thing I'm really excited about is that not everything is strength.
Right.
Like they gave you a lot of options to not just play a soldier.
I thought you were always championing strength. I thought you were.
I am, but I think it's good for the community to not have to play a Vesk as a stereotype.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you could also be a Lambent Vesk, or a Vesk who has adapted to life on a variety of other worlds by learning to use the gift of gab, basically. So you still get +2 strength, but you also get +2 charisma and the -2 intelligence instead of +2 strength, +2 con.
Right.
Which that'd be an interesting. You'd have to cater that to a very specific kind of build. But some of their alternate racial traits: brawny, Vesk who take pride in being as physically fit as possible, and this is the one that's the most on the nose for what the Vesk already are. But you get a +2 to athletics and acrobatics, but it replaces your fearless. So fearless is you always get a +2 to like fear effects to intimidate you. You can also get cave senses, and that ties into the cave Vesk. You lose your regular low light vision, but you gain blind sight sound 60 feet. But you take a -4 penalty to sight-based perception checks beyond 60 feet and a -2 penalty on ranged attacks beyond 60 feet in bright light. So that one's very specific, but like if you know that you're going to be in a lot of like darkness-based situations, and you'll be able to hit more easily with your ranged weapons and your perception checks as long as you stay within 60 feet.
Nice.
Okay, there's Forceful Mind, which is for your Vesk wizards, man. Vesk who have learned to fight via means other than weapons. It replaces your natural weapon claws. So
a Vesk is unarmed.
For once, for the first time
shit.
in history, a Vesk could potentially be unarmed.
Blew my mind.
I don't love that, I won't lie. It replaces their natural weapons claws, but once per day, when an opponent succeeds at a saving throw against a spell, you can force that opponent to re-roll the saving throw with a -2 penalty.
Nice.
And then the last one is Frilled, and I love this one because it just like the Jurassic Park kind of thing. Some Vesk have particularly elaborate bone spikes or frills on their heads, giving them an especially fearsome appearance. So these Vesk gain a +2 to intimidate checks just out the gate, flat. But it replaces your Armor Savant.
Huh.
So you wouldn't be as proficient with as many types of armor, but you would be, if you were playing like a Witch Warper or another, charisma-based class, and really wanted to push that Intimidate, that's for you.
Cool.
Okay, so moving on. Obviously, there are a few new themes, or what you could think of as backgrounds if you're not super familiar. Did you guys have a particular theme that stuck out to you?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I went with Stormrunner. A lot of these planets have some crazy weather going on in them. As you mentioned, Heath, there's your
Gascar 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, all these storms. So there's this theme of being somebody who's kind of born of the storm. The Stormborn.
Thrill seeker.
Fucking Kaladin.
Yeah, right. I mean, to some degree, yes. You get a bonus to Dex, and your theme skill is survival. Typical first level theme stuff. At 6th level, you get way better visibility conditions in storms, and you can endure against storms better. You get bonuses to both those things. Again, that's kind of specific for the particular type of campaign you're playing, but if you're playing an outdoors or a volatile planet, somebody with a Stormrunner, you would be like awesome to have.
Absolutely, yeah.
At 12th level, you get Undaunted, which is kind of like, taps into the spirit of Vesk. Although this isn't a Vesk-specific theme, but you basically are harder to intimidate, and you can delay fear effects by a round.
Oh, man, that's huge.
Yes.
Wow.
So you can, delay that daze or that whatever.
You push aside that panic for just a little bit.
For a little bit, yeah. And then the big 18th level one, and this is straight from the book. Twice per day, after a combat in which you acted in a surprise round, acted first for tactical combat, or rolled the highest piloting check in the first helm phase for starship combat, you can spend 10 minutes mentally reviewing your actions and preparing the next surprise to regain 1 resolve point. This does not count as resting to regain stamina points.
Yes.
Yeah, but you can just snag one back.
You can just snag one back, spending 10 minutes thinking about how badass you were in the last combat.
Yeah,
For real, dude.
that's awesome.
Oh, man.
I'd love to see like a storm runner, like witch warper.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's
Like,
an 18th level skill, so, it's high
You're
up
going to be a
there.
badass witch warper, though, at that point, too.
Well,
Right.
I mostly meant for the level 12 spell.
Yeah, the
because
level
you can,
12
like,
thing's cool, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's called lightning reactions. That's what that skill's called. It's a cool thing.
That's cool.
It's a fun
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Storm Runner is definitely. It does seem like somebody at Paizo started putting their foot down about, I'm getting some Brandon Sanderson inspiration in here, damn it. You know?
Well, maybe it was Eleanor. Eleanor Farron had a hand in this.
Yeah, that's right.
nice.
She was an author. Yeah.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
love
shout
Eleanor.
out.
Yeah,
Bit somebody we've had on STFU.
yeah. And gave us Gulta,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right.
So
Yes.
I didn't do a theme. I just didn't feel like doing a theme.
Fucking theme. I went themeless.
No, well, I mean, Storm Runner was the one I was kind of most interested in, and I knew you were doing it, and I was like, whatever, we're going to need to cut time anyways.
Yeah.
However, one aspect of Starfinder I do think tends to get overlooked is archetypes, which are similar to themes, but they're kind of story-driven mechanical elements of your growing character that you can choose to spec into.
Yeah, like multi-classing.
it's like a
Specific
soft-
multi-classing, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a soft multi-class.
Right.
And there's some very cool new archetypes in Near Space, so I'm going to take the first one on this one.
All right.
Okay? So continuing my trend of Vesk-centric entries into this episode, I wanted to talk about the Dashko Specialist. And I love it because back in my 5e days, I played monks all the time. I literally played 3 of them.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like a monk who focuses his or her whole life on training with the Dashko. Now, what's very cool, I think, like aesthetically and growth-wise with this, is that they start with a single-toothed Dashko. Like, you usually see the 3-pronged Dashkos. They start with a single-toothed Dashko, but they gain another tooth or blade of their Dashko at 2nd, 6th, 12th, and 18th levels. And they're like rites of passages for them. Like, you get to have a more badass
That's
Dashko
dope.
as time goes on. So at level 2, you choose to give your single-bladed Dashko either disarm, reach, sunder, or the trip special property. At level
Nice.
2. Okay, at level 6, you get a +2 bonus to attack when using that special property that you already picked. Okay, so the first 2 are that you get to pick basically a special maneuver, combat maneuver, and then you get a bonus, a level up to that at level 6. But then at level 12, once you've really trained years of your life to become a Dashko master, you gain the wounding weapon fusion and can spend a resolve point to choose the next highest result from the wounding weapons table
What?
for when you attack with
Wow.
it. And you increase the DC to save against it.
Wow.
Damn.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
dude.
So you do wound, but you automatically get the next highest version of wound, and you make it harder to succeed against your wound, which is awesome. And then max level for this archetype, 18th level, you get a +4 bonus to saves against fear effects, and you gain the Frightful Presence Universal Creature rule with a range of 60 feet and a duration of 2d4 rounds. So you can't be feared nearly as easily, and you terrify people for 2d4 rounds. It's awesome. And I just thought, I was like, I don't get much monk stuff, and this is freaking dope and as close as I'm going to get, and it's so a Vesk type of monk.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Not that it's actually a monk, but it feels
I love
like
the RP slant to it. That's great.
Yeah. All right. So, what about you, Adam? What archetype did you pick?
I didn't dig too deeply. I mean, I did look at Mediator because it's one that's associated with the Demai as well. And it's what you would think is a very specific archetype, that you would... I feel like this is almost an archetype you would build an NPC with to aid a party, because like all their things are, of course, about mediating diplomatic interactions, so like every level, the second level, the fourth level, it's the second level is being understanding the nuance of diplomacy. You become an expert negotiator at level 4. You learn like almost all the languages of the world at level 9.
Almost all of them.
Yeah, that's like a lot. And then at 12th level you get empathic link, which allows you to like basically create like a mind connection, like a mindscape connection, to where like you share status with each other.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, we don't. I think you did the smart thing, and like you don't need to go super deep into that. It kind of explains itself. Right. But that's very cool, and you could make a very cool character or NPC that is just the most amazing, basically like hostage negotiator ever. Okay, John?
Yeah, so for mine, I went with Battle Leader, and I thought it was pretty interesting. And instead of actually going the one that looked like it was themed for it, which was the Quartermaster, I decided that, I'm going to go ahead and, like Adam, choose something a little bit different. I went with the Battle Leader, and what it's known for is celebrating victories as they happen, yelling out to their allies when an enemy suffers a critical or lethal blow, and inspiring further glorious actions. So you can kind of see where it might sound like it's a bit of a envoy to a certain degree.
But like a much more like military leader.
Exactly. Yeah, you feel me. So it says you learn one victory cry at level 2, which you can also boost at 9, and an additional victory cry at 4th, 6th, 9th, and 18th levels. Okay, and as a reaction, when you or an ally scores a critical hit against a significant enemy with an attack, or drops a significant enemy to 0 hit points, you can issue a victory cry, choosing one victory cry and providing its benefits to all allies within 60 feet of you. Not yourself, though. So
yeah, sure. That's really cool. The whole. I mean, obviously, there would be a whole list of victory cries and effects.
Yes, yeah. They're very much similar to Envoy. Boosted damage, speed, saving throws, skill checks, stamina, etc.
So, but that's very cool. And you guys, our listeners will never understand this, but you guys, that's exactly like what Alamar from Storm King's Thunder would have done. Is like hype up his party.
Definitely.
It's a little bit like Envoy meets certain types of paladin. So those are cool, and there's other ones, guys. I encourage you to check them out. We're just kind of briefly running through. There's more specifics to them. Well, I mean, the episode isn't brief, but we're getting through those pretty quick. So last, there's obviously there's a whole section on weapons and armor and fusions and spells and starships. And we're not going to be able to go into all of those, but if you had any of the like little just nuggets that you thought were cool that you wanted to pop off, now's your time to shine.
Yes, I do. I got just a skip shot pistol, which is actually a McLeod designed pistol, from the Helfenthal system. They've manufactured these firearms and imbued them with their magical expertise. So, although these pistols use a clip of ordinary rounds, the pistol is imbued with teleportation magic into the ammunition as it's fired. So a skip shot is a hybrid item, and it has bleed critical and the teleportive special property, which basically is that it teleports a short distance after it's fired, and you take only a -1 cumulative penalty when attacking outside the range with this weapon.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's super neat.
As far as armor, I just went with the Skitter suit. It's a heavy armor. It says, when the Skittermanders of Vestry realized that their new overlords intended to continue conquering neighboring planets, they decided to help by designing armor for Vesk shock troops. So, however, their wild sense of aesthetics produced armor that very few Vesk military commanders would allow in their ranks. So, luckily, the suits are very popular on the open market, so Skittermanders continue to produce this armor for those with a bold sense of style.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of hippies decided to make military outfits, but they're all covered in tie-dye and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was really easy and quick to talk about is that there are a bunch of new Dashkos. This didn't exist before this, but there are now Frost and Storm Dashkos. So
that's cool.
Obviously, Dashko is the primary, like, iconic weapon of the Vesk race, but the Storm Dashkos have energy damage and the staggered critical effect, whereas the Frost half Dashkos have cold damage and the enfeebled critical effect. So it just gives you a little variety in what kind of Dashko you'd like to use. And then I just wanted to bring up the Planned Obsolescence is a new Witch Whooper spell that I thought was amazing because, just the term Planned Obsolescence is hilarious to me that it's a spell effect. But what it does is if you're a Witch Whooper, you can use a 3rd level spell to transform a weapon or a set of armor into an archaic facsimile of itself. So you could take that level 10 power armor soldier is barreling to you. You can cast Planned Obsolescence on it, and you make it archaic, so it can't power itself anymore.
Oh my gosh,
that's fucking cool. That's really fucking useful
for a round per level as well. So if you're a high, it's better. I mean, you're only going to be able to use a 3rd level spell if you're high level anyways. So if you're a 10 or 12 level Witch Whooper, for 12 rounds now, this guy's powered armor won't work, or his laser weapon is now an archaic weapon.
It just takes all kinds of minuses and shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's very cool. Do you have anything, Adam, or are you good?
Starships. Just check out the starship sections, y'all.
There's so many new starships and
tons of new
styles
starships.
for them.
Yeah, and then like some cool new options. It's cool. I dig it.
Nice. Okay, well, did you want to try to squeeze in any listener questions at all?
I mean, we got to get some in, right? We can't do.
I mean, I know we're going long, but I mean, I know we've been rushing through this last part, and we're all trying to get out of here, but it's a 160-page book. That's just the nature of the beast. So
yeah, and like what we talked about in almost 2 hours is literally just the tip of the iceberg of what's. I mean, like there's so many more fully fleshed out things for every subject we covered tonight.
Worlds.
Yeah.
There's
worlds, racial options,
We did 6 worlds between us, and there are at least 30.
I'd say we at best covered 15% of this book,
I don't even think that's the case.
All right. So we're going to start with a couple timely questions because it is still the quarantine. So we got a couple quarantine questions. From Overplus, since worrying about this crap has been a part of my work week, if snack rations ran out, what would you start fighting people for? Chips or ramen?
Ramen all day long. Ramen.
Chips. Cheetos, baby. I gotta have them Cheetos.
I'm not a big chips person. I like ramen.
I think it'd be ramen for me as well. All right. Next question. Also a quarantine question. From Wimlock, appropriate question from him. If you can only drink one thing, what would it be? What would your character drink? Quarantinis appreciated.
Okay, so because I know who Wimlock is and what he does for a living, I'm assuming he's talking about just alcohol.
Yeah.
Because if I could only drink one thing, it'd be water.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would be water, but
let's say that water's a given.
Yeah.
All right. Because really, that's the only answer if that's only thing you can drink. You know?
Exactly.
But if you could drink water and one other thing, what other thing would that be?
I think it's not too highfalutin, but not probably the breakfast IPA, man. That's.
I mean, I don't know if I would be all as specific as that. I would try to get away.
Oh, just say beer?
Yeah, I would try to get away with just saying
Okay,
beer.
see, this question is flawed. And that's why I'm saying I know Wimlock well enough that he's asking what alcoholic beverage.
Yeah, he is.
Would be the only
I'd have
one.
to say vodka.
Yeah, we knew that.
Yeah.
Jameson and ginger, I guess. If I have to name a drink, that's what it would be. All right.
Same thing for my character.
Oh, that was the other part, his character?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, just like Mike, I don't know, fucking just bourbon.
Yeah.
Some kind of bourbon.
Straight
Jameson.
bourbon. Yeah, I think so. What about Zeno?
Also vodka as well. Yeah.
Weldy,
I feel like he'd be like a vodka pineapple.
Weldy would be like probably vodka and Red Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's more.
Trev is them Natty Lights, baby. Or no, he actually in fiction has bitched about the Natty Lights.
Yeah, I think that like Weldy learned the vodka and Red Bull from DJ Trev.
Yeah, probably so.
Like before that, it was just Bud Light Lime, or some shit.
DJ Trev would be so extra. It would be like the Incredible Hulk, like what is it? Hypnotic and Hennessy.
Oh God, yeah. All right. Well, we answered Nishao's question with our entire episode because he asked, "What did you think of the descriptions of the Vescarium and its culture?"
Just listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, just go back and listen.
Yeah,
and that's your answer.
They're terrible but fascinating.
Thoughts on the Dashko art type? Nailed it.
Yep.
I think we've got two more. Yeah, we'll do two more.
Okay.
We've got one from our buddy Pharasma Saves, Steve from the Hideous Laughter podcast.
Hey,
he plays
BB.
Matumbe on that show. Matumbe and Saw on that show. He says, or he asks, feel free to skip this if it's been answered, but I just had an errant thought. What if the crew of the Epic Tracer lived in a different time in reality, and you need to build them with the Pathfinder 1E or 2E rule set? What classes, feats, and stuff would you pick for them? So obviously, I don't want a full build, but let's say what class and kind of general build for your character.
Wizard,
straight up and down wizard. Got it. All right.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like the expected choice is barbarian, but I don't even like barbarian.
Fighter.
I was thinking fighter, dude.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. You would be Alamar.
You're not really a rage fighter. Alamar, I mean, he's like big and like he's emotional, but he's not. He doesn't rage. He's calculated with his fighting.
Yeah.
You know what I
mean?
mean?
But y'all keep bringing up Alamar, and again,
I mean,
no one knows who that is.
No, I meant Mike. I meant Mike.
Yeah. I mean, some kind of fighter. I don't have the time to like really. I would like to have the time to delve into specifically what variation of fighter he would be, but I mean, dude, he's a fighter. Maybe a fighter monk multi-class because he uses his fists so much.
Yeah, monk isn't a bad choice for Mike either.
I mean, I have played a strength monk in the past, so I could just make him a strength monk.
Yeah.
If I could add just one quick footnote towards that as far as wizard, you could also make the argument for sorcerer, just based on the fact that the source of his power is mystery.
Final question, and we'll let the rest of the cast answer on the Discord or whatever. Last question is kind of a two-part question from Bipolar Pop-Tart. The first part of the question says, have you ever played an AP that either felt overly bloated or condensed to fit the 3 or 6 book release pattern? And then he goes on to say, well, since I know you guys have played more 5e modules, were there some that you wish they would have expanded beyond a single book? So I think what he's generally trying to ask is, do we think that we've played some adventures that felt compressed or overly bloated?
I think I'm in the minority of our group, but
I want to hear this. Go ahead.
When we talk, okay, I don't know what that sass is about, motherfucker. But I do think I'm in the minority of our biggest adventure prior to doing the Starfinder thing was Storm King's Thunder in 5e. And we had a wonderful experience with it because it's a good adventure, but Adam put a lot of heart and soul into it and added a lot of elements that weren't originally in it based around our characters and catered it to us and made it very, very special to all of us. and it'll always hold a very significant place in our TTRPG hearts. That said,
But
it's like Giant Slayer, and in fact was the inspiration for Giant Slayer in 1E, and both of those adventures have caught some flack for being too bloated with the number of like giant fights. And 5E's version of it, you basically go around to different citadels of each different type of giants and do that as a whole separate dungeon. And by the time we got towards the end of that, a lot of the party was like, okay, well, I'm tired of this to some degree, or I'm ready to be through it, and it's been doing a lot of similar things over and over again. And I don't think it's as bad as Giant Slayer is, as far as just doing the same kind of fights over and over again, because there's the variation of the different holds of different giants, types of giants, right? Now, we, even in our group, had that discussion of like, okay, well, we're ready to move on and get towards the end of this adventure because there's been so much fighting of giants. But I was really fascinated the whole time by going to every single one of the different like castles and strongholds and stuff of the different giants, because each one was a unique dungeon in its own right. And we only ended up skipping one, right, Adam?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think I was the one person, because we eventually took a vote, and I think I was the one person that I was like, no, I want to do that last one. Like, I really do want to see what all the giants
No,
are
you were
about.
not the only one. I wanted to as well.
Okay. I said I thought.
Right.
It's been years. But yeah, I mean, okay, well, I'm glad you were in my camp on that one, because I didn't think it was nearly as bloated or as egregious at that as I know a lot of our fans are GCP listeners and have had trouble with Giant Slayer being a bit repetitive in that regard. But yeah, I can see the argument for it being a bit bloated and that kind of thing in Storm King's Thunder. However, I didn't have a problem with that.
I loved Storm King's Thunder, man.
So I did too, but it was really unique to us, and so much of that is what Adam added.
Well, plus I was also a Giant Slayer, so
That was your...
You were literally a Giant Slayer.
Yeah, with a sword called Giant Slayer.
yeah.
Same question to you, if it's any different than what...
Yes, I would say as far as what I felt was bloated, would probably have to do with the whole hex dive, and with
Tomb of Annihilation.
Tomb of Annihilation.
The hex crawl.
Yeah, the hex
Yeah.
crawl. Yeah. Now the thing about that is that I found it imaginative. I loved the whole like Apocalypse Now, like Heart of Darkness feel to it, but at the same time that crawl did kind of fray on everybody after a while, you know. But once you actually got there, it was kind of like, oh, you know, this is interesting because it's a whole Indiana Jones style temple and everything, you know, and it's
I think,
go ahead.
because I'm with you on that. I think we all had some reservations about the way that Tomb of Annihilation went down, and it was very unique compared to its other contemporary 5e adventures.
Yeah.
But I think Tomb of Annihilation is one of those things that like has caveats in retrospect. Like in retrospect, we were still in the process of maturing as a group.
Yes.
And we had a lot of different people. We had two different groups playing it and had to, you know, reconcile that fact. And
Well, I was very experimental with that one. Like, I tried to mash groups together, you know, run them in the same universe and everything. Like, there was a lot of, like, added kind of complication to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think with that one, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I definitely think in retrospect, I can appreciate Tomb of Annihilation and wish that we had all been more patient with it.
Yes.
Because I think we all got... The thing is, and this has always been the core problem with our run-throughs of Tomb of Annihilation, is Adam told us day one, day negative 10, he was like, okay, this one... It is a meat grinder. It's gonna kill people and all this.
Yep.
So have a few characters built, you know. And the problem that we ran into is that for the most part, our groups were entirely too sentimental and too forgetful, and just completely acted like they forgot that it was supposed to be a meat grinder and got so attached to our characters that it was like there got to be a vibe where it's like, well, if my character dies, I don't want to play.
Well, it got to like this, we can't win this. And you know what I mean? And like the thing is, you're not supposed to win Tomb of Annihilation.
Right.
Like you're supposed
to... It's called Tomb of Annihilation.
Get as far as you can until you die. Then roll up another
You're supposed
character.
to be sending your characters to your death just so you can see what the system can throw at you. You know what I mean? Like, and we did lose sight of that because of who we are as players. We put a lot into our characters. I think that's what makes us who we are as Southern tomfoolery. But we got too attached, and so then it became like dreary because it was like you're just marching these characters you loved to their inevitable death, and it just felt so hopeless and gloomy, you know.
But I do think that one, it's hard for me to answer that question about Tomb of Annihilation because of the weird complications that we had, coupled with the fact that I think even in some degrees more than our run through of Storm King's Thunder, we were in the process of maturing and learning to understand what these games are and making mistakes, like making very serious mistakes as far as how to view what this game is and what our characters are in that context. Right. You know, I kind of almost feel bad for how we treated Tomb of Annihilation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do too, a little bit. But I actually had fun with my last character in there.
Yeah. Which was cut in half.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, we are running.
We're so
really
over time.
long. If you are still here with us this long, Godspeed. You know?
Achievement unlocked.
Well, and it shows that you really care about books like this that really dig into the settings and the lore and those things that us three in particular really, really care about this game.
Yep.
And if you're still here, then that means we're all kindred spirits in that regard. And we appreciate you, and we can't wait for the next book that's like this. And as always, we will keep having to work on format for those Tom Talks.
And cheers to you.
Cheers to you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, stay safe, guys. We love you. We know it's a hard time out there for everybody. We're here. We're going to stay here putting out content for you guys. I mean, why do you think we pushed this one past 2 hours? It's for you guys.
It's all for you.
Yeah. If there's anything we didn't get to answer or that you have questions about, hit us up on the Discord. And if you're not in the Discord, get in the Discord, man. What are you doing?
Right. I'm with it.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me for this Tom Talks, bloated as it may be.
Right.
But I had a good time. This book is awesome. Go check it out. I really hope it at least kindles some more curiosity in all of you because, like we said, we didn't cover a fraction of this book, and it's the kind of book that if you love the lore, every page that you read is going to get you more excited about projects you can be involved with or even create.
Hear, hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I'll see you guys when I see you at the next whatever session of whatever we're doing.
Yeah. We'll see you.
We'll see you.
All right. Love you guys.
Love you too. Peace.